Hello, friends. Just thought to share a few words, a few thoughts that have been on my mind for a while now. Two of the most celebrated kings in the Bible, in the history of Israel, were David and Solomon. David, as most of us know, um, was the father to Solomon. And although related by blood, we see in scriptures that there were two very different kinds of kings. One focused more on building institutions and people, the other focused more on building physical structures and an empire at the expense of people. David was a very popular king amongst his people. He wasn't necessarily that popular outside of Israel. As we see in scripture, several kings despised him, several kings hated him. Solomon, on the other hand, was loved and adored by by foreign kings and by foreigners, and people traveled from everywhere to just come and see him and all of that. So we have one king that is loved and celebrated by his people, and then the other one that is despised by his people but loved and celebrated by all the foreigners. Now, how do I know that Solomon was despised by his people? It's because after he died, the children of Israel told his son Rehoboam and said, if you lighten the burden that your father put on us, we will serve you. So it means that um, Solomon was a very harsh taskmaster. He taxed his people to death, and so he wasn't very popular with the people. So here we have one man who didn't build anything in terms of physical structures, but he built people and the institutions that he set up, the structure of worship that we have in our churches today, they were instituted by David. As a matter of fact, the Bible lets us understand that the tabernacle of David will be restored, not the tabernacle of Moses, which God himself instituted, but the tabernacle of David will be restored. And so we have someone who didn't have much in terms of physical structures in his name, but he built people and set up institutions that have eternal value. On the other hand, we have this guy who is very popular out there and has built some very fantastic structures, but at the expense of human development. And guess what? One of them set systems that have eternal value, the other one ended up worshiping idols and set the foundation for the destruction that would ultimately be, happen to the nation of Israel, which a lot of it they have not recovered from to this day. And so we need to ask ourselves what is more important to us. Is it building, you know, this physical, there's nothing wrong with buildings, but are we doing it at the expense of the things that are more important? Are we doing it at the expense of building people? So we need to ask ourselves, are you a people builder or a building builder? And at what expense, at what cost? The buildings and the structures and all the things that you're trying to set up. As a parent, are you trying to build a business at the expense of your family, at the expense of your children? As a pastor, are you trying to build a church building at the expense of your congregation? What kind of leader do you want to be? What kind of a leader do you want to be remembered as? But let's not forget, at the end of the day, the guy that focused on people created systems that have eternal value. The guy that focused on buildings and accolades from abroad set a system of idolatry. So let's ask ourselves the questions. What kind of leader do I want to be? Am I a David or am I a Solomon? God bless you.